And I realized that few women know how to hold the energy of a creepy man. Instead, they just determine that creepiness is criminal, that it's predatory, that it's a problem. And while it is a problem in on its own, it's actually not criminal nor predatory. Not if you know how to hold power. See, I just wrote a post because I was going to go live yesterday, and I realized I was like, oh, I actually have way too much sensation in my body to go live with this without it being extra and too sensationalized. And so I was sitting with it, and what I realized was that creepiness was something that has been a conversation in my life a lot. I remember I was 12 years old, sitting on the stairs of a friend's house, and across the street there was this building, and on like the 9th floor there was this 19-year-old kid who threw notes at me. Right, so he would take a crayon and he would pin it with a tack, and it would be like, hey, what's your name? Like all of these things, and writing notes. And in that moment, I remember I was like 11 or 12. I wasn't very old. And I took that note, I read it. And in that moment, you know what I did? I rolled it back up and I threw it away, and I walked back inside the house. That's what I did in the moment. Now, was it predatory that this guy from 9 floors up sent me a note? Sure. But how was he supposed to know how old I was? We were 9 stories apart. There is a certain extent, absolutely, men are creepy. But what makes a man creepy? It's his inability to hold his own sexual energy. And I hate to break it to you, but most women can't do it either. Except when it's embodied, when it's not embodied in a woman, it's not called creepy. We don't meet creepy women, but we do meet sleazy women. We do meet women who are happy to fuck anything with a heartbeat. We do meet women who are just so flirtatious. We do meet women like that, but we don't call it creepy. We call it something else. And so when it's our sexual energy is not inhabited in the feminine body, the way that it comes out is sideways. And that's where the slut shaming happens. Because true sluts know how to hold their sexual energy. And we just have sex where we want, we hook up where we want, and it's totally tight and it's held and it's contained. But the slut shaming happens the same way the creep shaming happens. Both parties are not holding their sexual energy. So what are they doing? They're being fucking sleazy with it. Dropping it into somebody's DMs, like putting it all over Instagram and thirst traps. They're sending really sexual and provocative things to people that they may not even be interested in. Creepy is not criminal, it is just sleazy. It's just fucking sleazy. It's like, it's screaming out, I don't want to hold all of this energy in my body, so I'm gonna go put it on you because I think it's important that you feel it. When that's not the truth. No one has to feel your sexual energy. But that's the idea, right? Like, I need to let this person know. But what happens, right? Men are just creepy. They've had their sexual life force demonized their entire existence. They're told that they're dangerous, that they are already predators, even if they haven't done anything. It's totally demonized. So if you have this tremendous amount of sexual energy in your body and you're told that everything about it is wrong, what the fuck are you supposed to do with that? You don't have the skill, you don't have the knowledge, nor the space to learn how to hold it. So you're either going to repress it, cue all of like the mental health crises, because every man has this internal demon that he's trying to fight. Cue creepiness, because he has no idea how to hold it, so he just leaks it everywhere. Those are your 2 options: repress or overexert. If you don't have the skill and you don't have the knowledge to do anything about it. Okay, so if we can just expect that men are either going to repress their sexual appetite or leak it all over the place, how are we supposed to behave in response to that? When I was going through Twitter, what I realized was that all of these instances are of teenage women learning to hold their sexual energy. I was one of these teenage girls. And because we don't know how to hold it, we're leaky as fuck with it because the attention feels good. And then we learn, oh shit, I'm gonna get slut shamed for this. So then we get even more covert and manipulative with it. And the worst part about that is that we're still sexually leaky, but then we turn around and we go, oh my God, this man, he's just so creepy. And it's like, well, how did he know to even approach you? Because your sexual energy called him in. I hate to break it to you. I know this because I have lived this. And even to this day, I have like these little bump ups where I'm like, oh, that was a creepy exchange. What was I doing just before that? And I want to say this is like, this isn't victim blaming. This is about those who are ready and willing to be responsible for their own sexual power. Because if you're constantly finding that men are creepy around you, that's saying that you need to take a look at where you're being sleazy. Because it's the same energy. It's just from a different body. The same energy being leaked in a man is creepy. that very energy leaked in a woman is sleazy. It's the same fucking thing. Neither one of you can hold your energy in your body. So both of you are inviting violation and disgust. Both parties are not being in their power. Now, unfortunately, we live in a world that wants to eradicate slut shaming while still reinforcing the creep shame, instead of actually peeling it all the way back and taking a look at, well, what actually needs to shift? Well, I will tell you. I wear a Pair ring. This is what this is. Pair is a new, it's not even an online dating app. It's not a dating app. It's an invitation that says, you can approach me. It's a social experiment for those who are single and want to actually participate in life. Now, one of the things that I noticed was that there was a lot of people on Facebook. I'm in a couple different Facebook groups, and they were like, hey, that sounds really dangerous. That sounds really dangerous to like have an invitation for people to approach you. And someone the other day asked me, they're like, how many times have you been approached? And I went, 0. I've been approached 0 times with this ring on, but I've also been approached 0 times without it on. And I think that's what really fucks people up, is they're like, what do you mean? What do you mean no one's catcalled you? Not that I haven't loved. I've been catcalled by like construction workers, and I fucking loved it. But that's the thing, is that when you demonize your own sleaze because you can't see it for what it is, you will demonize the sleaze of others. And you'll say, he's fucking creepy, he's a pervert, he's predatory, he catcalled me, and you're gonna be victimized by it because you're not willing to see the impact of when you're sleazy. See, when I went to New York, I had a man lock eyes with me. Yes, I was wearing this ring at the time, but we locked eyes and we passed each other. And I continued to walk down the street, and I could feel that he was following me. This was 2 a.m., Times Square, but down a dark street. It was like one of the streets where all the theaters are on, but like there was no one there because the theater wasn't on. And I'm walking down the street, and I can feel his attention behind me. And I was just like, okay, he's following me. Took in a big deep breath. I dropped into my body, and I turned around and I locked eyes again. Immediately, this man went from like slouchy and like creepy to fully erect. And he said, I don't want to be weird. I just think that you're really cute. Are you single? I said, thank you, I am, but I'm not available. Because at the time I was like, I'm single, but I'm really not dating internationally. And it was such a delightful exchange. The difference in that scenario was that I went from being sleazy with my energy to fucking holding it again. And in my holding it again, it let him be okay with his own sexual desire. Now, going back to the Twitter stream that I was reading, there was definitely some predatory behavior from Brandon Quinn versus Alexa Nicholas, okay? However, Alexa Nicholas has also shared screenshots of conversations and really well documented her participation in what happened 16 years ago when she was 15. But at no point did she ever take any personal responsibility for her own behavior, because as teenagers, we aren't told or taught how to hold our sexual energy. That's what makes it reckless and dangerous. We're not taught what the fuck to do with it. And then put on top of that, most young women don't have mothers who are fully inhabitant of their own bodies, let alone in approval of their sleaze. So you've got 15, 16, 17-year-olds going to parties where there are 28, 29, 30-year-olds, and then being victimized that these men are talking to them. We turn around 16 years later and we say they were being groomed, but nothing happened. That's the crazy thing. You just got some messages sent back and forth. Were they creepy? Abso-fucking-lutely. But you were not in your body enough, because you didn't know how to be, to correct him. But the worst part about it is that we really set up these 16 to 17-year-old girls to not know where the block button is. And so by the time you hit 30, you have developed a pattern of behavior to allow creepy men who are sexually leaky to keep coming into your space, because you still don't know how to hold your power. The reason why this is so activating to her now is because it's still happening. She's still experiencing men as creepy. Therefore, she needs it to be criminal so she can feel vindicated about her own victimhood around it. She's victimized by her own sexual energy and the fact that people are attracted to it. And the thing is I could have told you that back when she was on Zoe 101. Being upset that men can't hold their sexual energy is not going to change the fact that they can't. The only thing that changes men holding their sexual energy is our willingness and choice to hold our own. Listen, does that mean you're going to stop being sleazy tomorrow? Fuck no. I'm sleazy every other Tuesday. Why? Because I actually fucking like my sleaze. I have no problem with the ways that I leak energy sometimes. It's just that when I'm starting to get reflections that I'm like, ah, shit, that doesn't feel good. You know what I do in that moment? drop in. And in fact, it just happened today. I was walking with Roxy. You're gonna love this. I was walking with Roxy and I was doing, now that I have to recreate it, it just seems silly. I was doing one of these, okay? I was like walking and I was like shaking out my hair. And this guy was on the phone and I shit you not, he like locked eyes with me and his just jaw just started to drop. And I didn't notice until I was like walking by him, because I was walking while doing this. And I like look at him and he kind of like mumbled. And I was like, hi. And you could tell he was just stunned, right? Because in that moment I realized, I was like, oh, this man is already unable to hold himself in my presence. I need to hold myself better. So all I did was hi, dropping into my body more. And then immediately it was like, oh shit, I can't be creepy here. And instantaneously, I'm still walking away. I can just hear him say, your dog's really nice. Is that creepy? No. Is it criminal? Definitely not. But is it a guy who couldn't hold himself in that moment? Absolutely. But you can't expect a man to be able to hold your leaky sexual energy either. That's why we get victimized. Is because someone is giving us their sexual energy instead of holding it for themselves, which makes sense, right? Like why we call them creepy in the first place. It's like, fuck, hold yourself, dude. Just fucking hold yourself. Can you not be so victimized by your hormones? Can you stop acting like a prepubescent teen boy? We would love that, right? And that's what makes men attractive to us, as a man who can hold his sexual energy. Well, guess what? It's the reverse is also true. The more that we can stop hiding our power behind some manipulative lens like I'm flirty, and the more that we can stop giving up our power in the victimization of the martyrdom, the more we're being called and invited to fucking hold it. Again, that doesn't mean you're gonna do it perfectly every fucking day. But if you don't start practicing it, then all you're gonna get is creepy men. Because all creepy men is get your like sleazy ass. That's the thing that we forget, is that creepy men, all they're getting is sleazy girls. They're not getting women. You really think that? You really think a sleazy man, like a creepy, sleazy, sticky dude is getting a woman? Fuck no. It's not gonna happen. But he's not getting a woman because a woman's like, oh, you're disgusting. He's not getting a woman because when he interacts with her, he's gonna realize how under fucking skilled he is to do that. He is not equipped to hold her. It's not because she's victimized. It's not because she's upset or hurting or angry. It's because when she looks at him, he's gonna get real with what's real. This is a great question. Can I ask you something? Did I understand correctly? Why was your behavior sleazy if you did your movement with your hair unconsciously? Because that's most of our energetic behavior is unconscious. I'm sorry, but this, me doing this, guys, playing with my hair is my ultimate fucking glamour. I glamour people with my hair all fucking day. You'll see it even on TikTok. People are like, oh my God, your hair is stunning. I know it is. Playing with my hair is like a fucking, it's magic on its own. It doesn't matter if all it matters that even if I do this unconsciously is that I'm fucking responsible for the impact of it. That when I look around and I see that all I am is surrounded by is creepy men, that I get real with it right now. I don't just that I actually hold it. I'm like, oh shit, I was being a little loosey-goosey. I was being a little loosey-goosey with my energy there, right? And it's like, okay, roll it in, bring it back, shoot it at a guy, see if he's willing to hold it. If he's not willing to actually hold himself in the presence of me being in myself, he's gonna learn that real quick and he's gonna back off. I've never seen this not happen. And this is part of the reason, like when I was in college, I remember being really victimized because no one would ever approach me. I was like deeply unapproachable. And being like, why are all my girlfriends getting drinks bought for them? I'm never getting a drink bought for me. I'm always fucking footing my own bill, blah, 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 blah. And in fact, I used to have this really nasty opinion about power and sexuality, which was really funny because I had a frat boy like come after me for it. But it was like, wow, like a lot of women just give up their power at bars so that a guy will buy them a drink. A creepy guy that they would never date would buy them a drink. And it happens all the fucking time. And to a certain extent, the version of me that wrote this post years ago, it wasn't clean by any means, but she was onto something. Because there was times like I wasn't in approval of my own sleaze at that time. But once I started to learn that like, oh, me being sleazy just means that I'm being really free-flowing with my sexual energy. And if I'm gonna do that, I just have to be fucking responsible for it. That's it. If you want to be loosey-goosey, go ahead, be loosey-goosey. But you don't get to be victimized and angry at the sleaze for what it creates. The sleaze will attract more sleaze because it's got that grit. It's got that dirtiness to it that is so fucking hot if you actually allow yourself to be turned on by it. This is why when guys go like this, it's an attempt to mimic that. It's an attempt to mimic the grittiness that our bodies are craving because we live in a sanitized fucking world. So, you want to be sleazy? Go ahead, be sleazy. But you can't be retroactively angry at yourself for periods of time when you are not responsible for your sleeve and you were just loosey-goosey with your energy, okay? I was that way. I think the benefit of me being so secretive as a teenager was that I actually got to enjoy my sleeves. I got to fucking get onto it. There was no part of me that was like, oh my God, so victimized by the attention I was getting. It was like, I fucking loved it. I got off on it. Now, where people kind of get tripped up is they're like, yeah, but I don't want it. I don't want the attention. Then why aren't you holding your energy? Because holding the energy is too sensational. You're victimized by your own sleaze. Sleaze is what happens when life force is leaked. So if you don't want to have sleazy experiences, hold your life force. Those are your options. So if you don't want sleazy experiences, you don't want creepy men approaching you, the moment it happens, you bring it into your body and you correct the guy. And correcting doesn't mean demonizing him because he's having the same issue you were having. He's struggling to feel himself in conjunction with the energy in his body. So he would rather just give it to you because he already knows that you have more than enough capacity to hold it. But you're not holding yours either. So now it's just all of this fucking energy ping-ponging back and forth. Now you're victimized and irritated. He's further abusing himself because he thinks that he's dangerous. And this isn't to say that there aren't dangerous people out there. I'm just saying that they're not as common as we have been convincing society they are. A couple weeks ago, I was scrolling through Facebook and I came across this Montreal Metro blog. And one of the things that it said in the Metro blog was, it was from a TikTok because that's what journalism is now. These girls are wearing like these oversized baggy shirts on top of their outfits because they don't want to be catcalled. And I literally sat there and I was like, maybe I'm not as hot as I think I am because I have never been catcalled on a metro and I've ridden the New York subway. Like, am I just maybe not that hot that I have never been catcalled that way? I have never, like as an adult woman, like when we look at this, it's like, well, who's getting catcalled? It's the ones who are not willing to hold their own sexual energy as a form of fucking power when that's what it is. Your sexual life force is your power. When you keep leaking it out, you don't have any to hold on to. So no wonder you feel powerless. Now, the thing is like most people can't tell when they're leaking it out. Most people can't tell when they're hiding it. Most people can't tell when they're ungrounded with it because they're just so out of their fucking body. And when you look at the people who are victimized by creepy men, what's the thing you notice? They're not in their body, like at all. And you know what's funny is like the more that I sit with like what sleaze is, the more I'm reminded of when an old teacher of mine, Nicole, she was teaching us about like the effect of a turned on woman. And she said she had gone to this deli somewhere in New York, I think, like a dozen or so times. And this one deli guy was just so fucking creepy. Like you know, that kind of deli guy. And she goes, and it was just annoying and it was awful. And then one day she brings in these two totally turned on women. And this deli guy couldn't even look at them in the eye. He couldn't even hold being creepy around them. Because truly being in yourself means you are going to hold your energy and I'm going to hold mine. And so if all you are forced to do is to be with your own energy, yeah, it's going to be hard to look at the thing that's demanding you do it. If you are unwilling to feel all the sensation of being turned on and not off-gas it onto somebody, if you're willing to hold all of your erotic power in your physical form and not dump it into hypersexuality or overthinking or self-sacrifice or victimization or whatever, all of those are just places to dump your power. So if you're not going to do that, you just have to hold it. And then everyone you interact with is forced to hold it for themselves. Oh, it's gonna be a little uncomfortable in the room, yeah? So I know I'm rambling, like this is just like a very rambly live stream. But the part of the reason why I wanted to talk about the victimization of the sleaze is that until you get clear that you are always holding your own sexual energy in your body, you are always going to have sleazy experiences that you're victimized by. That's just what's gonna happen. The more loosey-goosey you are with your life force, the more free-flowing it is for other people to grab onto. One of the things that I knew 2 years ago when I released Enchantment was really that like this new body work that's coming through. This is much closer to the thing than Enchantment was, but this one teaching came in from Enchantment. was that when you are fully in your essence and when you're fully in your body, when you're fully turned on, the most immediate thing that will happen is that you will face what I call moths to a flame. You're gonna get creepy guys because you have life force energy, but you don't know how to hold it yet. You're just open. Oh my God, look at me. I'm just such a turned on, vibrant, vivacious woman, right? Like you don't know how to hold it yet. You're just open. That's it. And we live in a society that's massively undernourished. And so immediately you're gonna get the hungriest of fucking moths coming to your brilliance, because what else are they supposed to do? That's exactly what they're supposed to do. What happens though is that when the moths come to your flame, you get real fucking victimized and then you shut down. You're still not holding your power well. Now you're just shut down from it. Again, people either leak their power or they disassociate from it. Neither one of those things is holding. And so obviously Sleaze Motel is coming back. And if you're unfamiliar, Sleaze Motel is one of the funnest things I think I've ever taught, but it is anal alchemy, because you need to learn how to ground your power. It's not enough just to have access to it. You need to be able to use it. And this new body of work is ultimately all about your radiant power. Where are you giving it away for free because it's ungrounded? Where are you hiding it because you're ashamed of what it looks like and the reactions you might receive? Where are you just burning through it because you'd much rather sacrifice yourself than actually be with it? Do you mean turned on, like happy, enjoying life? I mean allowing your life to flow through your own body. Like being happy and enjoying life is almost 18 layers above the level of like turn on I'm talking about. Like to truly get off on life, to really feel like this is my fucking game. Like I am here to play and I'm gonna play this game well. Because it's not necessarily true that every moment of life is enjoyable, but that doesn't mean you can't be turned on about it. You can be turned on about even the shittiest experiences in your life. It just means like you're fucking here, you're a player, you're ready to go. Okay. So on August 22nd, I'm doing a live stream webinar and live Q&A session with me. So it's like a community event. It's free. If you are interested in this conversation, I want you to come, attend. I want you to attend. It's 5 p.m. EST. It is going to be a great time because I'm going to introduce you to the full path of what this work looks like. Because part of the thing that I'm realizing is that there's a lot of things that have happened in my life that I just haven't owned as a part of my medicine and my magic and what I'm here to do. And this path is it. Does it feel like you might die if you have to hold your own sexual energy and demand everyone around you do the same? Kinda. Especially for a part of you that's enjoyed not holding it. Especially for the part of you that's rather enjoying the victimization of not holding it. But at the end of the day, holding your power is an act of honoring it. It is not honoring of your power to flaunt it and then be victimized by the reactions. It's not honoring of your power to burn through it because you're going to sacrifice yourself so you can be victimized at the end of it. It's not honoring of your power to pretend it doesn't exist because you don't like the way people in the world react to it. Creepy is just the man's version of his sleaze. It's not to be demonized. It's not to be made into a problem. It's just made to remind him that he can do better, but without punishment. See, this is the thing that drives me crazy, is that people think that punishing people into accountability is how they're going to learn a skill they've never been taught to learn. Holding sexual energy, you think we know how to do that naturally in this world? That holding, aka honoring your sexual energy, your life force energy, the spirit of who you are, you think we know how to do that without practice, without mentorship, without experimentation? You're gonna have uncomfortable conversations. You're gonna have moments of like, oh, I got into a fight with a random guy on the street bridge. But guess what? I know how to hold myself a whole shit ton better now. That's not just an example. That is 100% true. In October of last year, I had gone on a date with someone, maybe it was September of last year. I'd gone on a date with someone that ended with me and him screaming at each other in the middle of the street. Was that conscious? Sure. Not really the point. The point was that it came to a realization where I was sacrificing my power on the date instead of actually holding it. Let me tell you, it went 45 minutes of me gaslighting myself, giving away my power for free, giving away myself, my sanity, everything on this date just to survive it. And then suddenly there was just a moment where I was like, you know what? We have nothing to say to one another. I'm going to go that way. You are going to go that way. And I think we're done. We're complete. He still reacted and wanted a reaction to me, and I just kept walking away. See, the moment that you are no longer giving your power away, you realize how wasteful the thing that was taking it was. Alexa Nicholas has her entire career being built on the back of predators needing to be existing. Meaning, while she thinks she's doing a service to the world, she also requires people to be predatory for her mission to continue. Now, that doesn't mean there aren't predators out there. For sure there are. For sure there are. But when we waste our attention on guys who are just fucking creepy, like they just don't know how to hold their sexual energy, it takes attention away from the actual predators that need to be put away. That's my problem with it, is that it's all a distraction. It's just a place for her to demonize herself and pedestalize herself and be upset and angry at everybody and pick fights with every Joe Blow and feel self-righteous about it. But she's not creating anything. She's not actually creating change. She's just creating more hostility that doesn't change those men at all. It sure as shit doesn't have a guy stumble over his words. It sure as shit doesn't have a guy realize he's not capable of handling himself. It sure as shit doesn't have a man realize that, oh wait, I am capable of holding all of this energy instead of spewing it on anything that breathes. As long as us as women are unwilling to hold our own sexual energy, we cannot expect men to do the same. Like, it's just unfair. It's like saying, you should be able to climb Mount Everest. I've never done it, but you should do it. We can't be demanding of people for skills that we do not also practice for ourselves. So if you're watching, let me know what's landing here. Give you guys a couple moments. There's 4 of you. I know you're watching. What is landing for you right now? I had the same experience. I was rare that I would get approached by dudes at bars. Yeah. Okay. Well, the mechanics of call and responsive energy. Yeah. That's really what I'm pointing to, right? Is like, we often look at, when we're looking at feminine call and masculine response, we often think of it as like, what am I calling in? And how can I manipulate my energy to call in the thing that I want? Versus, what energy am I not holding? And how is that being, like, what is it getting reflected back? Like, you not holding your energy is going to call in something as much as holding your energy will. It's just the way it goes, right? Like, what you do has a reaction in people. Regardless of you agreeing with their reaction, you're going to just have to be responsible for it. Like, you know, part of having approval for the sleaze is also having approval for the slut shaming. When I was in high school, I have a whole transmission that's coming out on this one. But when I was in high school, I was a massive slut. Just no one knew about it. Because I got off on the secrecy. I was terrified of being slut shamed. I was like, oh, my life will be over if people know what a whore I am. And then in college, I got slut shamed for the first time and it fucking broke me. It fucking broke. It stung so bad, and it was from a broad I'm not even friends with. She was like, I was sleeping with her boyfriend's fucking roommate, and it fucking broke me. And that's part of the reason why we don't have approval for the sleaze for when we are leaky with our energy, and then why we end up repressing it. It's the same thing that's happened to men. Men were leaky with their energy. They got demonized for leaking. What do? They fucking repress it. What happens with repressed energy? Well, we just get secretive. It doesn't mean it doesn't go anywhere. It just means we get more and more secretive about the sexual energy we can't hold, right? So what happened after I got slut shamed? I just got secretive again. Was I still a whore? Abso-fucking-lutely. I was doing fucked up shit. Such fucked up shit. Like, guys, I can't even, no, I'll save that for a paywall. Right? Like, to have approval for yourself when you're leaky means that you have to honor that whether or not you're leaky, whether you hold it, whether you leak it out, you're going to get reactions from the world. That is what the call is. The call will either be negative or positive and dependent on how much approval you have for yourself. And the key is to not let the response of the world, to not let the response from your call victimize you to abandon your power. The response of the call is simply an invitation to either hold and honor your power more or to hold and honor your power more. That is all it does. Meaning, if I go out into the world and all of a sudden every guy that interacts with me is like, I want to be your future husband, that means that my call is calling in a husband, yeah? I could be victimized by that. Or I could be like, oh, I need to honor what's actually true for me and embody that deeper. Do I want a husband? I do. Then all of a sudden, my personal integrity, my internal alignment matches the responses I'm getting. Now, if all of a sudden I'm going out in the world and I'm getting all these fucking creepy men, I can be like, do I like that? Sometimes I do. Sometimes I appreciate a creepy guy. Personally, I prefer an eerie guy. An eerie guy is super sexy to me. Creepy guy, not so much. They're sticky and they're gross. But if I get this reaction, I'll be like, oh, you know what? Is this true for me? Am I going to consciously back that call? Or am I going to be unconsciously victimized by it? Well, if I don't want it, then I have to start embodying a different call. The response is just an invitation to back yourself more. It will never be an invitation to abandon your power. And this is the thing that most of us do. We get a reaction that we don't like, whether it's gossip, hatred, projections, creepiness, whatever. We get some sort of response from the court of public opinion, and then we shut down from it. We don't express ourselves anymore. We don't show up anymore. We try to hide our power. We get secretive. We get even sleazier in more covert ways. So we don't ever actually have the power to alchemize the hatred we're going to get regardless. Approval for the sleaze and responsibility landing. Good. Yeah, I think a lot of us are just secret sluts. And the thing is like there's a whole onslaught of people who are like, oh my God, I can't believe you're slut shaming. Or there's another term too. It's whore something. It's very similar to slut shaming. And it's like women who are genuinely slutty, like genuinely slutty, not just leaky with their energy, are fine being called slutty because they hold their power enough to know that no projection is worth leaving themselves for. A woman who's genuinely a whore does not care that Becky thinks she's a slut. You know what I mean? Like, really? But girls who are leaky with their energy do get slut shamed because it just validates that they're dangerous, that they're bad, that they're not good. Same thing with creepy men. And this is the thing that I want you to like really titrate with is like, people think that there's a double standard when it comes to men and women, and there's really not. It just looks different. We're trying to create a double standard. Men get shamed for leaking out their sexual energy. We just call it creepy. Women get shamed for leaking out their sexual energy. We just call it slutty, right? I can't be slut shamed when I own it. Yeah. Like imagine a bunch of sorority girls coming up onto my Facebook page and being like, you're a whore. Yeah. And, right, this is also the same piece of like, a bunch of people were calling me shallow. And I'm like, yeah, so? Like, you can't use things I've accepted about myself against me. Yeah, the creep versus, it's the same energy. It's just fucking leaky as hell. And it's not fucking criminal. It's not criminal to be slutty. Fucking, what? It's not criminal to be a sleaze. It's just a fucking thing. You're either going to choose to hold your energy or you're going to choose to be sleazy. That's it. It's a choice. And like when I taught Sleaze Motel the first time, that was one of the things that I really reinforced is like, once you're clear on the ways that you're sleazy, you're either going to continue to do it or you're going to continue to hold yourself differently. It's just an invitation. It's what most of life is, right? And so, yes, this is all a part of the new body of work. You guys have already been introduced to kerosene. Kerosene is like step 1, level 1. You don't have to continue walking down the path. Honestly, there's a lot of content, like one-liners that I need to have on a t-shirt, by the way. So kerosene is coming. This new body of work that I'm fucking stoked about. You guys have probably been feeling it on my Instagram account. Sleaze Motel is coming back, and then a much deeper mentorship is on its way as well. So if you haven't signed up for the webinar, I suggest you do. It's gonna be good. I think there's like a Disney Pixar character who's like, it's gonna be good. Like that, I want you to hear that. Is this a program sleazy? So Sleaze Motel is definitely sleazy because it's meant to point out all the ways that you're a little bit victimized by the energy in your body. Because that's the thing is like, what is sleaze? It's just fucking sensation. It's just sensational, right? That's why we want to demonize it. Like one of the downloads I got years ago at this point was like, it's not sleazy, it's just sensational, right? I use the term sleaze now to determine when people don't want to hold the sensation. That's what makes it sleazy. It's just sensation that in your body feels overwhelming to hold and be conscious with. And so you just dump it anywhere. Thirst traps, flirtation, hypersexuality. Like I remember going onto Tinder just to fuck around, just because I wanted the matches and like the ego trip. That's just a sleazy, right? It's like no intention, no consciousness, no presence. It's like, I just need a place to like go dump my energy, right? The path that's being created is hot. I'm not gonna lie. And over the next month, it's just gonna get deeper, right? So sleaze is spilling. Yeah, that's what makes it sleazy. Have you ever met somebody spill who wasn't sleazy? I haven't. I mean, it might look chaotic, right? But like they're just being sleazy with their energy. They're just putting out all over the place. But the free webinar is gonna be the place to come really explore this, right? And the thing you mean turned on is like aliveness. Sure. Yeah, like if you're alive in the sad things, it just means like you're fucking here. Like you're a participant in your own goddamn life. Like I think one of the things You know, I had that conversation with a girlfriend a while ago, and I was like, I just want the space to fuck up. And this has been a thing that I've said almost every nervous breakdown I've ever had was like on the back of that, was like just this deep desire to not get it right. This like deep longing to be in the muck and the dirt of humanity. And for that to be fucking okay. Like for that darkness, that dreariness, that to be just as majestic as like the love and light of the spiritual world. Like I wanted the reverence for the grit, not just the soft. And that's what this path is. This path is completely reverent of the gritty nature of being human. The patterns we come up with, the ego deaths that we need to go through to have our growth and evolution, the patterns of hiding and being so seductive to get our way, the manipulation, that kind of shit. Not because we want to do it, but because it's gonna be a part of nature. Manipulation is a part of human nature. Kids don't learn it, they just know it, but they don't know how to hold their power, because that is something that needs to be learned, right? Teenagers know how to be sexual, but they don't know how to hold it. That needs to be learned. And so when we live in a society that demonizes the sleaze, instead of teaching people how to hold their energy, it's like wasted efforts. Imagine a world where we had 20-year-old men learn how to not off-gas their sexual energy at parties. Could you just imagine that for a second? What that would look like, what that would feel like? It would be totally different, right? Yeah. So I invite you to come to the webinar. We're going to be talking more about what it's like to hold your radiant power. Like, what would it look like to hold it? What would it look like to ground it? What would it look like to wield it right? Okay. I will leave you there. I think the link is in my bio. If it's not, just send me a message. I'll send it to you directly. Otherwise, have a fabulous day and we'll talk soon.